The time is in, let the fun begin, and it takes 270 to win. Or does it? I'm back like the McRib, baby. I'm a historical hustler, and this is your 2020 election coverage. Coming here from our lovely studios in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. What we're here to do this evening is we're here to bring to the viewers a mathematical analysis of the election possibilities that could happen tomorrow night. And I wanted to thank my students up on the north side of Phoenix for the motivation of this video. They did a great job sitting down, crunching the numbers, figuring out each candidate's pathway to victory and how they could get there under different circumstances. We also did a historical election analysis going back to 3 elections of 1824, 1876, and 2000. So I know if juniors in high school could sit down and crush the numbers and have an honest civil discussion, the future of our country looks fantastic. So thank you to my students. So let's get right to it. Let's set the table right here. Let's get to the map. These are the 8 states that I got in play. Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and right here in lovely Arizona. These are the 8 states that I think that will decide the election. So I did give Maine, I split Maine up, just like the election of 2016, and made sure to give 1 vote, because Maine splits their electoral votes, 1 to the Republicans and 3 to the Democrats, like 2016. So keep that in mind. Maine's the wild card here. But I understand other people think that like Georgia's in play and Texas is in play. No, not in this election. I promise you that. So let's get first starting out with 187 electoral votes on our map. Fighting out of the red corner, Cheeto Jesus, Donald Trump out of New York, New York. And fighting out of the blue corner, out of Scranton, Pennsylvania, Joe, the Crypt Keeper, Biden. Now, I started each candidate off with this amount because I figured it would reasonably kind of play out in this scenario based upon history. I've studied elections my entire life, and I feel pretty comfortable starting a map here. So let's get to Biden's easiest pathway to victory, because Biden really has the advantage here. He's been able to kind of sit back and let Trump make unforced errors, right, this whole time. And has been, running a decent campaign. He did a decent job in the debates, so he's in a really good position here, starting out really strong in the polls. But I would be cautious as a Biden fan. There's some similarities here to 2016. So if Biden can get a chance early in this election, he needs to close him out real quick. And his best way is to win Florida, win Pennsylvania. This automatically would put him over the threshold of 270, and he'd be the next president, of course. He could run up the score too if he wanted. Even things could get real ugly for Trump. Biden could step on the gas, make this thing a total blowout, right? Even push up over the threshold of 350 electoral votes, which would be a total landslide, right? And this could happen according to the polls. But like I said previously, I would be cautious. People in our political climate in this day and age is different than before. That's why I don't think the polls take that into account. People are pretty cagey in this day and age, right? And that's why I think it's kind of unfair to think that this thing is going to be a runaway freight train, but it could be, right? Trump's had a really tough year. So elections do have consequences, as Obama said. So let's get to Trump's road, right? And it's pretty narrow. He needs Florida. He's got to have Florida. He's got to have North Carolina. And then he has to have Ohio. The reason I say Ohio, obviously, not just because of the electoral votes. He gets Ohio, he's in business, right? In big-time business. Ohio is sided correctly with the presidential victor in each election going back to the year 1960. So this is a really, really important state for really both candidates, right? So at this point, Trump would need to win Arizona, and then he would need to pick up one of these Midwestern states, maybe Wisconsin. And that's with Biden getting Pennsylvania, it's his home state, getting Michigan. It'll be tough for Trump to win there, and then Minnesota, which I do believe is in play, but probably is going to go the Democratic side. So this is the most logical route to a 270 victory for Trump. Now, there are other scenarios here They've happened historically. So we need to look at those before the night, the election, right? Before tomorrow, and make sure that we're fully aware of what could happen, right? So let's get to this scenario where it could be a contested election. It could be more than one state, like Florida in 2000. We don't know where the votes are at in certain states, right, that are contested. And if the election's tight, then that could be problematic. What I worry about, and that's what I worry about, is the dreaded 269 scenario. And there's a couple ways to get there. The first way would obviously be Trump, Florida, Trump, North Carolina, Trump, Ohio, and then Wisconsin or Minnesota, both, right? Carrying both these states. And then that would go, Biden would go to Michigan, Biden would go with Pennsylvania, and then out here in Arizona, Biden would pick that up. That's 269 right there, right? That's one scenario that could possibly happen. Now, let's look at one more. There's one more scenario, and this is one of my students came up with this. So good job out there, students. That's what I'm talking about. So they did the numbers, they did great. So this one could possibly happen. Now remember, these scenarios are dependent on the electoral vote splitting in Maine at a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 for Democrat and 1 for Republican. If Biden would pick up all 4, then things would shift totally to him in this 269 scenario. He'd have 270 carry the election. So that's dependent on Maine, right? But on the other flip side of the coin, Trump, if he could pick up 2 electoral votes out of Maine, it would swing the election. But I see things kind of set where they were in 2016 up in Maine. So let's look at the other scenario, which could be possible. Trump carries Florida, Trump carries North Carolina, Trump carries Ohio, Trump wins the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, and then loses out to Biden on the rest of the board, right? So sure enough, you got 269 and 269. Now, this, believe it or not, would actually be a Trump victory, because this has happened before in 1824, where it shifted to the House of Representatives and John Quincy Adams carried the election. So keep this in mind. A 269 to 269 outcome would actually mean a Trump victory. This is a pathway to victory for Trump, because the House of Representatives under the 12th Amendment votes in contingent election process, which means they vote in block. Each state gets 1 vote. So if Trump could carry 26 out of the 50 states in the House, he could win the election, which is possible. So with that said, let me break out of here and let me get to prediction time, right? Prediction time. My only prediction is it's going to be close. I don't think that we're going to have like this crazy landslide election. And if I'm wrong, then, great. It's going to be easier for the country to move on if it's a landslide, either way. So I do think it's going to be close. I don't really have a favorite candidate. I'm not going to promote a different candidate. That's not my style. It's not what I do here. But I do want to have hope for civility after the election, and the American people could come together united no matter who wins. Because just remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you combine the age of Trump and Biden, 178, 174, they're almost as old as the country of Canada. So, 5 to 10 years, they're not really going to be involved at all. We're still going to be left here to kind of put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So the message here at the Historical Hustler Campus is unity, and moving forward to build a even better country, right, in the future for ourselves and our children, no matter which candidate wins. So just kind of remember that. It's in a good spirit here. We're in a privileged position in Arizona. We get to kind of, in a way, maybe decide the election. So that's cool for us out here in lovely Phoenix, Arizona. And maybe we will have a say this time. We're the only state west of the Mississippi that really has been getting any publicity as far as the election goes. And just to let everybody know, it's not really that fun, right? We're looking forward to moving on and not getting these ads anymore. So I hope everybody out there voted. Hope they voted for who they believe will be the better leader. And that's what this country's all about. So thank you, everybody, for your time. And like I said, the prediction is going to be a close election. And it might even be contested. It might even end up 269 to 269. That's all I got. All right. Love everybody. Buenos dias. Have a great afternoon and evening.